Hey guys, number one Marmaduke fan here. Soulfinder came today. I read it in one sitting, and it is time for a brutally honest comic book review. Because I love you. I have to love you a lot to give you a brutally honest, no holds barred comic review. All right, Soulfinder Demons Match, written by Douglas Ernst, art by Timothy Lim, colors by Brett Smith, covers by Dave Dorman, and additional art by Matthew Weldon. Same guy who did that cool Earthworm Jim art. All right, so I really enjoy it. This is a solid book. A solid book recommendation means it's worth the money. When the next one comes out, if one comes out, I want to get it. You should hop on the second one. If there's a tier which lets you buy a copy of the first book, you should do that. If there's a digital book, you should get that and catch up so you're ready for book two. One of the things I love about it is I can tell that Doug Ernst and Timothy Lim are trying to not do Sunday school art, right? Like this isn't happy slappy Christian storytelling time. They kind of get that if you show bad people doing bad things, sane people understand that you are not endorsing the bad people doing the bad things, which makes it feel authentic because you're actually showing the badness of sin, right? Second, I basically think you either have to be a person of faith to correctly tell a story about the satanic and Satan, or you either have to get it and respect it so much, that you don't believe it, but you are absolutely 100% willing to step into that faith system and write as if you were that. Otherwise, it's going to come off as fake. Right? I think that's why a lot of people do vampire stories where they're mutants or they're aliens or it's the technovirus making the zombies, right? Because they're not comfortable tackling the spiritual. Like zombies used to be a very spiritual, voodoo, satanic kind of thing. And then the zombie craze happened and they all became like alien technovirus things. Mind waves are making the zombies, right? And the thing is, the satanic is actually a lot more primally terrifying and primally interesting than aliens. I just don't care if your evil bad guy is an ancient alien. I'm not scared of aliens, but I'm scared of the satanic, right? And I've never actually encountered the satanic personally, but the fact that I believe it exists makes it a much more interesting depiction of evil for these kind of stories, right? So with that in mind, my basic critique is you need to scare the pants off me. You're kind of like going in the right direction of saying we're going to depict the satanic, we're going to make it scary, we're going to show the evilness of it. But I think you need to go, because we're talking about something that is kind of like an ultimate primal evil, I think you need to basically be willing to push yourself a little beyond even what you might be comfortable imagining or comfortable making a comic about, so that you can evoke the primal terror. Now, one of the interesting little things you got to be careful about is when you're talking about the satanic, there are people who have just an unhealthy interest in the satanic. There are obviously people who worship the satanic and devote their lives to the occult. And so what you're kind of playing with is, well, do I go on this side and I overemphasize the satanic, I maybe make people interested in the satanic, or do I go on this side and I make it seem safer and more tame? So I'm holding up Berserk by Kentaro Miura because I don't know what Kentaro Miura's religious faith is. I doubt he's a Christian. There are people on Reddit who have all of these crazy speculations about his religious beliefs. But what I 100% believe is that whatever his beliefs about Christianity, he took a good look at demonology in the history of Christianity and said there is fodder here for a terrifying fantasy world. And so when I read it, I'm just like this is on the edge of what you should be willing to read. It's so horrifying. But what's successful about it is, when you imagine you're 6 years old and the monsters are in your closet, and even the logical part of your brain knows there aren't monsters in your closet, but you're still scared of them, Berserk taps into that fear. And what's great about that, what actually I like about Soulfinder, is the nature of evil in Soulfinder can be overcome by faith, which is fascinating, but from a writing perspective, that means you're going to have the problem of, well, why doesn't he just pray and make the demons go away, right? So then what becomes interesting about the satanic is Satan uses manipulation to use your own mind and use your own desires against you. And that's a great villain archetype, because he's not just stronger than you, he doesn't just beat you up with his super duper powers, he manipulates you into thinking like him. So with that, Berserk, maybe JoJo's Bizarre Adventure has good horror vibes, but I want to be terrified when I read a story about the satanic. So flipping through it, let's talk about some good things. So I already shared that. Okay, so like good character development, like we see his backstory, we see that he's a scarred person. Spoilers, by the way, spoilers for everything. And there's some mysteries with demons showing up, and there's some cute, sexy librarians. All right, this is like a really fun thing where you can kind of make it current. There is like this really unhealthy like 21st century interest in the occult, and it's popped up again recently. Like we were talking about how we were a post-Christian culture, and now I think you can say we're a post-secular culture where people left Christianity, but they didn't all become like rational atheist skeptics. Like they left Christianity and they started worshiping crystals, or they left Christianity and they started going to seances or whatever, which means you have a lot of great opportunity to have, like weird internet meme lords who say, oh, I just worship a pre-Christian idea of Satan. Hail Satan! Oh, I'm such a meme lord. And then he opens up like a portal to the satanic and he wishes he had... Right, like Satan's terrifying. Like the Bible story about the 7 sons of Sceva who thought they would like cast out demons in the name of Jesus and Peter, and the demons say, we know Jesus and Peter, but who are you guys? And they whoop them, right? Like there is so much great opportunity to kind of tell a very 21st century relevant story about demonology. I like the gag about the non-believing priest who graduated from the University of Bovine. That's great, because you also get to tap into this neat thing of like people who are of faith, but they don't really buy in Satan at all. They think Satan's a superstition. And kind of the neat thing is I don't know who said it, but that classic line, like, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing people he doesn't exist, where in the Middle Ages, there was tons of obsession with Satan, and Satan was under every rock and tree in people's minds. So the beautiful thing is you can kind of play these two things, where one of the ways, interesting things about the devil is a lot of people just don't believe he exists, right? So it's kind of like he's being crafty and staying in the shadows. He doesn't want people believing in him. And you have people who clearly like obsess over him and devote their whole lives to worshiping him and are in constant fear of him, right? So you get like this really great like tension between the real world and the spiritual world that I don't think a writer who's not of faith can pull off. Jumping ahead, there's like, the crazy cool... Dan Sakharov does a really good job of this too, where he has like holy knights, but as part of them being holy knights, it's important that they're actually characters of faith and they believe in the faith. I don't think you can be a holy knight if you're an atheist and still tap into the magic holy power. Like, why are you an atheist if there's magic holy power, right? So the fact that they're of faith, and Doug's clearly done some like cool research into the history of like Catholic exorcists, so that gives it a nice little flavor of the real. I love that Father Retner has this issue with his father at the center of his character. Like, he's mourning the death of his father. The demons clearly use the death of his father as a inroad into his mind. His father is something of a role of masculinity to him, but at the same time, he doesn't know about his father's faith at the time of death. Is he a malevolent force? Is he a good force? And it's like, it's great. It's really... It's evoking the kind of demon temptation well, because it's using something positive, a father figure, a positive male role model, as a potential inroad for confusing or frustrating someone. Jumping ahead. Now, what am I just like little sweet things like this, like him playing with his dad's boots and putting his army toys in his dad's boots. That has kind of like the flavor of real life to it. Jumping ahead a little more. Nice little subplot about like being falsely accused. Like, if you're a man and a woman attacks you and she falsely accuses you of attacking her, right? Like, so that's a great little subplot. It's subtle, and it's not like an in your face, oh, the feminists, am I right? Like, it's just like working it in naturally to the plot. Okay, quibble. If you're gonna have, I dig the biblical Greek. It makes them feel authentic as characters, but I'd say go ahead and have a translation. And the reason I say that is I can Google translate Latin because I know how to type the Latin letters, but I don't know how to type those letters, so I can't use Google Translate on it as easily. So go ahead and like give us a translation of the biblical. You do all the work to look up the biblical Greek, so go ahead and like translate it, right? It just adds a little bit more understanding. This is a great little plot point where he finally defeats the villain, the demon, seemingly, and we reveal that he's had a prosthetic leg this whole time. And I went back and looked, and it was very cleverly hidden the whole time under pants. So it was just like this neat little revelatory moment where you realize he's been hurt a lot more from his experiences in war than you even thought. Like, you knew he burned his arm, but you just didn't know about that. That's great. Whoa. Okay, this is maybe a bit of a step in the right direction where because this is the comics medium, you can use the comics medium to disorient or upset the eye's understanding of what's going on. So the demon Blackfire is kind of like trying to convince him that God hates him, and that's why he's going through all this suffering, right? It's a great play, and then things start to melt into the second scene where the demon becomes bigger. I would say more of this kind of stuff. Even like if you go ahead and be like a little experimental and do some of like the upside down, backwards, diagonal, inside out panels that I sometimes make fun of, but anything to kind of disorient the reader, throw them off their game, and make the demons seem like visually they are upsetting his perception of reality in a way that connects visually with how they're manipulating him into trying to manipulate him into a hating God. All right, great. Wait, did I miss anything? Okay, I got everything. All right, great character design commentary from our boy Tim Lim, a consummate professional. The hardest character appearance to nail down was Father Patrick Redder. Doug gave me free rein to define his appearance, so long as he was a younger priest and was depicted as handsome. I played around with a couple of concepts, including giving him a hat and or facial hair, but ultimately we went with an 80s aesthetic. The Clint Eastwood stare, Greek nose, thin lower lip. Nice. I like kind of like the without facial hair because that says younger. And then some thoughts on like the standard clerical uniform versus the Soulfinder, like epic, what is it? I completely forgot the word. Exorcist soldiers, right? Like cool exorcist soldiers. Reginald Crane, and then like giving him a sort of like older man hunch. Doug had a very defined visions for how Crane and Chua would look. He described Chua as looking like a young Manny Pacquiao. In my head, actor Lance Reddick is Father Reginald Crane in the movie version of Soulfinder. I told this to Doug, and he really loved the idea. I'm guessing that that is who he had in mind from now on too. And like just some thinking about Chua's head design, like squarish head design in contrast to a more classically handsome head design. Beautiful pencil art. I love this. It's so loose and gestural. I even kind of love the weight and carriage of it. And our boy Matthew Weldon with his great inks. I love Matthew Weldon's art. You should check him out. And I won't read this, but a nice little thank you from Doug. I think he has an excellent. Doug has an excellent understanding, I think, for character development, giving the character a problem that where his sort of moral upbringing problem relates to the spiritual, physical problem he's got to defeat. He's got to defeat the demons. He also has to overcome his feeling of grief for his father and his struggle with his mother's cancer and his own physical injury in war. This relates to the problem of the manipulative demon entering into his life that he's got to deal with. So I think Doug has a great sense for that. I think as the writer, Doug has to kind of like provide the vision for Tim as the artist to take on. And I definitely think like both of you need to buy a copy of Berserk. It's going to upset you. This is like hard R rating. This is probably like NC-17 rated stuff. But you need to scar yourselves just a little bit so you can take me a little bit down that demonic rabbit hole and then make the point that the power of Christ triumphs over the demonic. I think Andrew Clavin is doing a really good job of this too, where he evokes the idea of the demonic without being trite about it and making it genuinely terrifying, but not glorifying Satan, but presenting Satan, the satanic, as this imposing, manipulative threat, but a threat that works mainly by manipulating the human soul against itself. Fantastic. All right, that's Soulfinder Demons Match. This has been my brutally honest. I went berserk on it. I was so hard on it, but I love you guys. I'm happy with my buy. Looking forward to supporting the next one. So, peace, and I will catch you later.